competing against each other. We're watching the same tape. We're doing the same drills. I don't think it's my job to mentor him, but if he learns from me along the way, then that's a great thing.
Sports, women, togetherness, abortions, disagree, never, religion, racism, never mentor anyone, sex, Democrats, contraception, Republicans. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. Feel free to take anything I say today out of context and use it against me, Perna. That's what just happened to Ryan Tannehill. He talked about needing therapy to get over the playoff loss to the Bengals. And the headline? Ryan Tannehill will not mentor Malik Willis. Now, veteran QBs don't want to groom their successors, but some, like Alex Smith, have handled that task very well, only to have their f***ing legs snapped in half. Today, though, I'll discuss this Ryan Tannehill thing because it really may be his last year in Tennessee, DeAndre Hopkins suspension, and the Chiefs stealing another player after the draft. That's good, sports. Subscribe here, it's free. If you got money, a good way to support this channel is with my coffee company, BenchwarmerBrew.com, or by joining Patreon or the YouTube members. We'll be doing our YouTube member Patreon Zoom Hangout Thursday evening. I put that info on Patreon and in the community tab for YouTube members. And I've got big dick Patreon shoutouts for new patrons. IC Arman. And Adrian Ortiz upping to $10. Thanks for your support. Patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. The Hollywood Brown trade is starting to make a little more sense. And that's because the NFL announced that Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins has received a 6-game suspension for violating the league's PED policy. This is great news for Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, who may actually get good football from their team in the second half of the season when Hopkins returns. According to Adam Schefter, Hopkins' brand manager said that the wide receiver tested positive for trace amounts of a banned substance. Hopkins later tweeted, "I was confused and shocked. I am very mindful of what I put in my body and have always taken a holistic approach, so I'm working with my team to investigate how this could have happened." Now, Hopkins missed 7 games last season due to injury, but was still an effective receiver when he was on the field. Now, honestly, with all of the legal supplements and pain-killing injections and shit players are allowed to put into their body, McDonald's, I really don't know where the line between a PED and something I can get in the VIP room at GNC is. So I have a solution moving forward. Performance-enhancing drugs are not allowed in the NFL to keep the playing field level. Well, I say, shouldn't less physically gifted athletes be allowed to take PEDs? If Julian Edelman was allowed to take HGH, he'd still be playing. My solution, and this would be great for the NFL Network to air in May, the Veteran Combine. Veteran players have their level of athleticism measured every year. They are given an RAS number, relative athletic score, like rookies are given, and based on that number, we determine the amount of PEDs declining players are allowed to take. It's the perfect solution. Let's see here, Tyreek Hill, you have an RAS score of 10. No PEDs for you. Tyron Matthew, 8.2. You can have 1 PED per month. Tom Brady, as usual, you are exempt. Having no athletic skills somehow makes you better. Richard Sherman, oh dear God, you still want to play? Unlimited PEDs for you, buddy. Someone say unlimited?
Mr. Unlimited.
Now, after they failed to land a safety in the draft, the Saints are turning to a veteran option in free agency. Tyrann Mathieu is signing a 3-year, $33 million deal in New Orleans. Matthew is a 3-time All-Pro coming off a 3-pick season in Kansas City in which he started all 16 games and taunted teammate Dan Sorensen on a regular basis. Now, this will be year 10 for Matthew, and he's joining his 4th team after being drafted in the 3rd round of the 2013 draft by the Cardinals. He's kind of like the Brandon Cooks of safeties. This is also a return home for Matthew, who played his college ball at LSU before being dismissed from the team for failing multiple drug tests. It's gonna be a real Sophie's choice though for LSU fans when Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase roll into town to play the Saints this year. Circle that on your calendars. The Kansas City Chiefs landed a top 5 wide receiver in the draft, and they didn't even have to use a pick to get him. The only caveat is he may never play a single snap in the NFL. I'm talking about the signing of Clemson's Justyn Ross. Now, back in 2018, 18-year-old freshman Justyn Ross was the most talented receiver on a Clemson team that had T. Higgins, Hunter Renfrow, and Amari Rodgers. That's not an opinion. He had more yards than any of those guys. He was basically a lock to become a future top 10 pick. But then doctors discovered in 2019 that Ross was born with a rare neck condition called Klippel-Feil syndrome, which forced him to miss the entire 2020 season. Now, if I think back to my medical degree, basically this is a congenital fusion in his spine that no one else in the NFL has ever had, as far as we know. Which is different than coaching without a spine, something we saw Urban Meyer attempt last season. Now, you might compare Ross's injury to Peyton Manning, who had 4 neck surgeries, which required spinal fusion surgery, which caused him to miss the entire 2011 season. But playing quarterback in the pocket and playing wide receiver are 2 different ways to make a living in the NFL. Ross played again in 2021, but suffered another injury, this time a stress fracture in his foot that caused him to miss a couple games and severely limited his production. So when the draft rolled around, he didn't hear his name called. He was essentially in the same boat as Carson Strong, first-round talent who went undrafted due to injury concerns. Now, Flemlo did a great video on Ross, so make sure you check that out if you want to know more about his story. I think Ross is more of a long shot to actually play, and that's simply because we haven't seen him produce at a high level in such a long time. I'm in a tough spot because I want to root for Ross, but that would also be rooting for the Chiefs. It's a lose-lose for me. Switch teams, Ross, do it. And finally, today's big story. Ryan Tannehill hates Malik Willis and will never mentor that son of a bitch!
I don't think it's my job to mentor him.
I will sabotage him too.
Tannehill is a modern-day Joe Flacco, fearing his eventual role as a backup for the Jets. Now, as soon as I saw the Tannehill headline, I knew I wanted to talk about it because I immediately knew what Ryan Tannehill said was getting blown out of proportion. What I'm mostly concerned about is Ryan Tannehill getting enough sleep. He lost sleep over the A.J. Brown trade.
Slept terrible that night and kept thinking like it's just a bad dream, but that's where we're at.
And said in his press conference about the Titans playoff loss that he lost sleep.
It's a deep scar, it was a lot of sleepless nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I was rewatching the game in my head. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep for weeks and weeks after the game.
And that's why I'd like to thank the NFL for approving my new partner, Ambien. Now, before we get too far, here's exactly what Tannehill said.
I mean, that's part of being in a quarterback room in the same room. We're competing against each other. We're watching the same tape. We're doing the same drills. I don't think it's my job to mentor him, but if he learns from me along the way, then that's a great thing.
And now, look at all these sports media jack-offs trying to make Ryan look like buttholes. Look at the title of this episode. Also, oh God, what did I do? We click on the negativity. That's the sad truth. We could have had a productive conversation about mental health and the weight that comes with losing on the biggest stages in sports, as Ryan Tannehill revealed the need for weeks of therapy after that playoff loss to the Bengals.
Sticks with me, but therapy, talking to people, time, all of the above. Yeah, it was tough. It wasn't a day, it wasn't a week. It was weeks and weeks and weeks to get through it. A lot of sessions, and been doing that for a little while now. But definitely, I think this is the first time that I absolutely needed it to pull me out of a dark space.
Instead, we made Tannehill the bad guy. Now, there's no question Tannehill made a mouth boner by saying he wouldn't mentor Willis. That was a misstep. The impression that phrase leaves is that the veteran won't help the rookie if the rookie asks or under any circumstances. Clearly, that's not how it's going to work out. And I think the idea is that guys like Tannehill aren't going to go out of their way to help a rookie steal their job when they're still trying to, be better themselves. I think what he said, though, projects insecurity, when the intention is probably the opposite. Quarterbacks are trying to convey confidence in themselves and for the team as the ongoing starter. Like, I'm not here to mentor, I'm here to compete and win games. Cliches, take us to the top. Now, even if you have no intention to mentor the rookie, just fucking say you're going to do whatever you can to help him be prepared to go on Sundays. That's the lesson here. In defense of Tannehill, I will not use this rookie is trying to take food off my family's table argument. I heard that shit several times on the TV and on social media. If Ryan Tannehill can't put food in his family's mouths with the $140 million he's already made in his NFL career, or with the $39 million he's gonna make this year, then inflation is way worse than I thought. The simple truth, though, is that if Tennessee is not impressed with Tannehill this season, they can cut him in the 2023 offseason. That's their out year in his contract. So there is pressure there, and this is essentially a make or break year for Tannehill in Tennessee. And after they let A.J. Brown go, I doubt they'd hesitate to give their third-round cheap QB the job in 2023. And the part about it not being a QB's job to mentor, part of being a quarterback is being a leader. And that means being a good teammate. So helping any and all of your teammates get better actually is part of the job. That's specifically true for bridge QBs like Joe Flacco when he came to Denver, even though he couldn't admit it at the time. Sadly, though, Denver was trying to build the bridge to nowhere, and eventually just went out and bought a bridge that was already built.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Injuries are part of the game, and quarterbacks do lose their jobs to injury. It's incredibly risky, and I get why they fear someone else coming in and playing better than them. Just ask Drew Bledsoe. But helping your backup can also pay dividends for you. Think Bubby Brister winning 4 in a row for the Broncos in '98, Nick Foles winning a Super Bowl MVP, and hell, Jimmy G winning a couple games when Brady was suspended. It takes a crazy level of confidence to feel secure helping a rookie get better in case you go down with an injury for a game, for a few games, for a quarter, for even a series. There's lots of scenarios and they can all play out differently. Helping the guy behind you be prepared to take the reins also can make you better at your job. And if the backup QB was filmed helping a homeless person out of the good of his heart, you better say you'll mentor that do-good motherfucker or you'll be dragged through the mud like Tannehill. So I get why what Tannehill said can be misconstrued, but I think there's enough evidence out there that he's overall a pretty good dude and he actually will help out Malik Willis. Just not that extra little bit. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Check out the video on the screen or click the links in the description if you want to keep watching my bull crap. You like bull crap? Well, I'm going to serve you a huge amount of it every week, and it's going to be football crap of bulls.